Hello, all you YouTubers. My name is Rick. I live in Florida. Helping my daughter and son-in-law put up a vinyl fence, and I went through the videos that I could find on YouTube and watched several of those to try and figure out what to do and what not to do. We bought our vinyl fence from Home Depot in 8-foot sections that we had to put together and bury some posts and la 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 la. Most of the fence that you buy, they'll give you some instructions, but they're not the best. I can tell you that right now. Period. Number one, this is Florida. We should have sand. But as you see our fences, my daughter rented a gasoline 10-inch auger powered to dig the holes. What we found out was after about a couple inches, there was about a 3-inch layer of clay and pieces of rocks that the post hole digger, gas one, didn't work. So out of all these posts that we put around here, only about 5 actually worked. We had to dig all the rest by hand, which sucked. Number 2, just use your post hole digger to dig about 3 or 4 test holes in your yard to see if the post hole digger electric one or gas one will actually work. If it works fine down through and you don't hit no clay or rocks, you're golden. Go rent it. Go rent one at your wherever you want to rent and go from there. If not, don't waste the money. We spent $200 on one, and it almost $300. My daughter's pointed up some fingers like this. So save your money and just dig it. One thing you will need, whether you use a hand post hole digger or a gasoline one, you need this bar that's called a San Angelo bar. It's about 6 foot long. It's about 15 pounds. It's got a blade like on the bottom, and we used it to bust through the clay and bust it up in the hard soil and rocks and roots and all kinds of shit, or we never would have got through it. We're gonna stop for just a minute. Okay, I saw this one tip on a YouTube video I watched. Oh, this is my son-in-law, Jose.
Hello.
It said to use cut a 2x4 to use it for a spacer between posts, and I'm gonna have my daughter turn around so I can point out what I was talking about. Point around, turn around. After you set your first post in your wherever you're gonna start, you go over to where your next post is gonna be. This will be your second post. Once you know where it's at, you measure the distance from this post at the bottom to this post at the bottom. You cut your 2x4 to that length, so that when you go to the next, that's Charlie, if he had to get in the way every now and then. Lay it on the ground, sitting against here, and then you can go over here and mark this hole here to dig so you keep a constant distance between posts. That was very helpful. Okay. Putting the panels together. Jose's shy, he got out of the video. He's over there leaning against the wall. Okay, what we did was we took this bottom one, laid it on the ground in front, and kind of measured where we wanted to start this first panel so that we had enough room here and enough room to attach to the new post. And then we stuck them all in all the way down to the end, and then we took the top one and pulled this forward a little bit, the whole thing, and tapped this down with about the same distance from here to the end on the top, all the way across. Then we pulled it back and got it in the holes, and that was fine. And we would use a 2x4 and a sledgehammer to put on top of these to drive these down a little bit that we might need. And that seemed to be the best way for us. You can do whatever you want. All the instructions show you different things. That worked best for us. If you get to an area, go ahead.
Now, this was a shit show, by the way.
No, not really. Yes, it was. If you get to an area where your property goes up at a higher rate or down at a higher rate, you'll have a hard time fitting this top piece into the hole on the other side. So what I figured out how to do, which they never had any instructions for that, we took all these out and I cut off about a ½ inch off the top, or whatever you think you might need, so that when you put it back on, it would slide in and fit into the slots without any problem. The other thing is, this one over here, they give you a little starting piece. We'll zoom in, that you can use, and you just take your fingers, you can close this gap, it'll slide. But we've already done that. But anyways, you can use that to help fill up any gaps that you might have there. Another thing, in the top, if you get one where there's a lot of play right here, I drilled a hole in the top on the inside that went into this, put some washers on it to help for a spacer, and then put a screw down in there with the washers on it to help keep it from sliding back and forth. So that was nice and helpful. All right, let's see. Don't do it yet.
So here's an example of the end spacer that we're going to pull out a little bit with our finger, or another tool you might have,
It's a
in
flathead
order to
screwdriver.
fill the gap.
You can use a flathead screwdriver, or you can just use your fingers.
See how the gap begins to close? This is not in the instructions,
All the way down.
but do not fret
There
if you
you
see
go.
a gap at the corner. You can just pull that down or over.
There you go. That wasn't in the instructions either. That's a Rick fix.
Rick Fix.
The last thing we had to put together was this gate that we purchased. All of our crap we bought was from Home Depot. This gate was about $490. This is my daughter Megan. It came in pieces. These little slats were in pieces. This was a piece. The bottom piece, the two sides. In all the instructions, it just said put these together, but it didn't say how far in on each side that you had to be in order for it to fit right. So what I had to do was I measured the depth that this thing would slide into here, multiplied that by 2. Actually, I just measured the depth inside, put a mark on this one side of the post so I could start these little boards going across the bottom, and then put it in the bottom, then I put the top in the same distance. Because after you get it all done, then we had to pound these guys in on the bottom and top, which was kind of hard. Yeah, you had to put some PVC glue in here. We had to pound these in on the side, which was kind of hard on both sides. And then we had to square it up, which was back and forth, and that was in the instructions to make sure it was a nice square gate. And put screws in and glue this on top. But the distance to start your first roll, that wasn't in the instructions, so I had to measure that. And that was it. A lot harder than to think sometimes, especially if you can't use that auger and have to figure out. So hopefully this will save you some time and money. And this is Rick from Florida. This is Megan from Florida. And behind the camera is Jose from Florida. And this is Isabella. This is Isaac Newton. He's our smart dog. And this is Charlie, my daughter and Jose's dog. So that's all, folks.